tired of spending money on vehicle maintenance. While there are many maintenance procedures and repairs that you cannot perform yourself, there is one that almost anyone can do that will save you time and money. I'm going to give you an in-depth tutorial for beginners on changing your vehicle's oil. You'll be able to change your own oil and avoid expensive quick lube shops that do hack jobs. By changing your own oil, you'll be able to put better products into your car to make it last longer. Afterwards, you're going to feel competent in changing your own oil. First, you'll need to know how to identify the drain plug and remove it to empty the oil into a catch can. Then identify the oil filter and remove it. And finally, add the proper oil back into your engine and know how to fill the engine to the correct level. You're going to need some basic hand tools that you probably have laying around the garage. We're going to also go over some safety tips so you don't hurt yourself as well, and choosing the correct oil and amount for your particular vehicle. You probably have a handy home tool kit like this one. My go-to is the ratchet and the wrench. Most vehicles in North America take between a 1/2 inch and 5/8 socket. You're going to need to know how to properly lift and lower your vehicle and secure it into place so it's safe for you to work underneath. I like to use a 3-ton jack. If you turn the handle all the way to the right, it locks the hydraulic cylinder in place, and then with pumps, it lifts up your vehicle. In order to lower it, you do the opposite. You just twist it to the left, and this will go down a lot more rapidly than it does here, because of the weight of your vehicle. Once it's up in the air, you're going to want to properly secure it with the jack stand. This jack stand has a safety pin in place. That way, in case you ever lift up or kick the lever while you're working underneath, the vehicle weight won't fall on you. If you do not have the safety pin in place and you kick this, it could cause your vehicle to fall on top of you. You don't want that. Also, while your vehicle is up in the air, the 2 back tires are on the ground and your vehicle can roll backwards and off the jack stands. That's the purpose of this tire block. If you don't have one, that's okay. You don't have to go out and buy one. You can use a simple piece of wood or any object really that will prevent your vehicle from rolling backwards. Now, in order to choose the correct type of oil, you're going to want to reference the car owner's manual. In my case, I referenced a handy repair manual, and it's going to help you choose the correct oil and viscosity. According to the Oxford Dictionary, viscosity is the state of being thick, sticky, and semi-fluid inconsistency due to internal friction. Most people think that you have to change your oil every 3,000 miles. However, this is a common misconception. According to most car owner manuals, the frequency in oil changes is actually closer to double that figure. My vehicle manual recommends between 5 and 7,000. The reason for this great variable is because they recommend you change your vehicle's oil more frequent if you do more in-town driving and less frequent if you do more commuting or on the highway driving. Now that you know how to put your vehicle up in the air and it's on jack stands with the parking brake on and the tires are blocked off, it's time to get started. We need to drain the oil. Identify the oil pan, and this looks like the pan on the bottom of your oil. At the bottom of that pan, there's going to be a tiny screw, and that's going to be your oil drain plug. Position your catch can in place. My catch can has handles for easy handling and a handy little spout. We're going to need this spout later to pour it into an approved container for recycling. If you can't get a stubborn bolt out, there's a great little trick us mechanics like to use. If you can take 2 open-end wrenches, you can put one end on the bolt you're trying to loosen, and the other end you can interlock the 2 wrenches, and what this does is it gives you more leverage to loosen them. Now Loosen the bolt, and Sir Joseph Whitworth once said, "The other way, bud. Remember, it's lefty-loosey, righty-tighty." He was referencing, of course, the way you have to turn to properly tighten or loosen the bolt. If you turn it clockwise, you're going to tighten it. If you turn it counterclockwise, you're going to loosen it. Let the oil drain out once you have the bolt loose. Clean the residual around the drain plug so you get all the debris out of there. Reinstall the plug and do not tighten. It's very easily to turn to power tools, and you don't want to cause a bigger problem than necessary and strip out a bolt. Next comes the oil filter. It looks like a little can hanging on the bottom of the engine compartment. Sometimes it can be mounted sideways and other times on top of the engine. In order to loosen it, because they're often quite stubborn, you're going to want an oil wrench. An oil wrench uses friction, and the more you turn, the tighter it gets. These are handy little tools. Once you have it cracked open, take off the oil filter by hand. Same thing, you're going to want to put the new one back in by hand first. Thread it in till it's snug, and then use the oil wrench to do about a half turn so it's securely in place. The last step is adding the proper oil into your engine. Now, you've already selected the right type of oil according to your car owner's manual. However, you need to put back in the proper amount. And on the back of the can or the container, there are labels in quarts. This in particular container contains 5 quarts, and my vehicle takes 5.5 quarts. So I'm going to empty almost this whole container just to fill it back up to the proper level. This is all information contained in the car owner's manual. Use a rag and a funnel. There's many different types of engine compartments, so you might need a different type of funnel. There's not a one-size-fits-all for funnels. The funnel will prevent you from making a bigger mess. Final checks before we let the car down. Turn the car back on. Check for any lights on the dash. Then let the car sit for 5 minutes. This is a good time to double check the oil, and you're going to want to add oil if it's too low. If it's too low, you can cause a catastrophic failure in your engine. It could cause your engine to seize. It's no big deal. You just need to pour a little more till it gets to the proper level, and you're going to want to remove some if it's too high. However, if it is too high, it's not as catastrophic as it being too low. Great time to check the driveway for any spills and clean up any oil that might have dropped. And we should go over proper recycling of the oil. That oil you have, it is toxic and hazardous to the environment. It's great to save money, but not at the price of the environment. Any store that sold you the oil is gonna take that oil back, and they're gonna know how to properly dispose of that oil. And with that, congratulations, you've successfully changed your own oil. This information has the potential to save you thousands of dollars over your lifetime and prevent your car from catastrophic failure. You now have the knowledge to change your own oil, and you have learned how to select the proper oil, identify the drain plug and filter, how to remove them, and afterwards reinstall them and fill the engine to the proper level. As Max Boot once said, "I don't know if I can ever change the world, but at least I can change the oil on my car."